If you want to achieve anything extraordinary in life, the very first step is clarity. Most people drift through life like a ship without a compass, reacting to circumstances instead of creating them. But those who rise above, those who achieve greatness, are not lucky. They are intentional, they decide what they want, and they make it non-negotiable. So ask yourself right now, what do you truly want, not what society expects, not what your family thinks you should want, but what lights your soul on fire. Until you decide with absolute clarity, you'll keep wandering. Clarity is power, but clarity alone is not enough. You must create an emotional connection so deep that your goal becomes a necessity, not a preference. Why must you achieve it? Why does it matter to you? When your reasons are strong enough, your excuses become irrelevant. People don't follow through because their shoulds never became musts. Turn your desires into musts and watch your brain, your body, your creativity find a way. Clarity of vision is the very foundation of all human achievement, yet it is often the most overlooked step in the process of success. Most people live their lives on autopilot, drifting from one day to the next without ever truly defining what they want. They confuse activity with progress, busyness with productivity, and hope with strategy. The truth is, you cannot hit a target you cannot see, and you cannot reach a destination that has never been set. Without clarity, you are like a ship lost at sea, pushed by the waves and the wind, going wherever circumstances dictate rather than choosing your own course. That is why clarity of vision is not just important, it is essential. It is the difference between wandering and conquering, between existing and living with purpose. Clarity begins with asking yourself the right questions. What do you truly want in life? What matters most to you? Not what your parents expect, not what your friends believe, not what society tells you is valuable, but what resonates with your heart, your soul, your deepest desires. For many, this is uncomfortable because it forces them to strip away external influences and confront their own truth. Yet until you answer those questions with honesty, your goals will never have the power to move you. A vague dream like "I want to be successful" carries no force. What does success mean? How much money? What kind of career? What kind of relationships? Where will you live? What kind of contribution will you make? The sharper the picture, the stronger the drive, because the mind thrives on specificity. When your vision is unclear, it creates hesitation, and hesitation is the enemy of progress. But when your vision is crystal clear, it creates certainty, and certainty generates confidence. Imagine an archer aiming at a blurred target. It would be nearly impossible to hit it. But give that same archer a bright, bold bullseye, and suddenly every ounce of energy, focus, and skill is channeled toward hitting it. The same principle applies to your life. When you have clarity of vision, you stop scattering your efforts and begin to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions in one direction. That alignment creates momentum, and momentum builds results. Clarity also gives you power because it acts as a filter for decision making. Every day, we are bombarded with choices, distractions, and opportunities that compete for our attention. Without clarity, you say yes to too much, you spread yourself thin, and you dilute your energy. But when you know your vision, decisions become simple. If an option aligns with your vision, you pursue it. If it doesn't, you eliminate it. This saves you from wasting years of your life chasing things that look appealing in the moment but have no connection to your ultimate purpose. Another important element of clarity is visualization. The human brain does not distinguish strongly between something vividly imagined and something experienced in reality. When you create a clear mental picture of your goal, your nervous system begins to believe it is possible. Athletes, performers, and leaders use visualization not as wishful thinking but as mental rehearsal. By repeatedly picturing the outcome they desire with intensity and detail, they condition their minds and bodies to align with that vision. If you can see it clearly, you can start to believe it, and once belief takes root, action naturally follows. Clarity of vision also brings energy. Have you ever noticed how exhausted people feel when they are uncertain, confused, or lost? It is because indecision drains energy. The moment you decide with clarity, a new wave of vitality floods through you. Suddenly you have something to wake up for, something to fight for, something that pulls you forward. Energy without direction is wasted, but energy fueled by vision becomes unstoppable. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary persistence because the mind and heart are working together towards something meaningful. It is also important to recognize that clarity is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. As you grow, evolve, and experience life, your vision may expand, shift, or refine itself. The key is to regularly pause, reflect, and recalibrate. Ask yourself, am I still moving toward what I truly want, or have I been caught in the noise of distractions? This habit of realignment keeps your vision sharp and your motivation alive. Finally, clarity of vision is contagious. When you meet someone who knows exactly what they want, you can feel their certainty. Their energy inspires trust, attracts opportunities, and influences others to follow. Leaders who lack clarity cannot lead others effectively because no one wants to follow uncertainty. But leaders with clarity ignite belief in those around them. In the same way, when you cultivate clarity in your own life, you naturally become an example that uplifts others. In the end, clarity of vision is not just about setting goals. It is about defining your destiny. It is about taking ownership of your life rather than leaving it to chance. It is about painting the picture of your future so vividly that it becomes inevitable. And when that picture is clear, when you know what you want, why you want it, and how you will pursue it, there is no obstacle strong enough to stop you. Because the power of clarity transforms hesitation into decision, confusion into confidence, and dreams into reality. Emotional connection is the hidden fuel that drives human beings to achieve far beyond what seems possible. While clarity gives direction, it is emotion that provides the fire to keep moving when logic says stop. Think about the times in your life when you pushed yourself the hardest. Was it because you calculated the pros and cons, or because you felt something so deeply that you could not walk away? The truth is, people are not driven by numbers, strategies, or vague desires. They are driven by feelings. The strongest goals are not built on intellectual ideas but on emotional necessity. If something is a preference, you might pursue it when convenient, but when it becomes a must, you will find a way no matter the obstacles. Every great achievement begins with a deep why. Why must you achieve this? Why does it matter to you at the core of your being? This is not about surface level wants like earning more money or getting recognition. It is about digging beneath those layers to uncover what those things represent. Money itself means nothing until you connect it to freedom, security, contribution, or love. Recognition means nothing until you tie it to a sense of significance, influence, or the desire to create impact. Without that deeper emotional connection, your goal will feel hollow, and when challenges arise, you will let go because it never carried weight in your heart. But once you link your goals to the emotions that matter most to you, quitting is no longer an option. Think about the difference between someone who says, "I'd like to lose weight," and someone who says, "I will lose this weight because I want to be alive to see my children grow up, to walk my daughter down the aisle, to be an example of strength for my family." Which person is more likely to follow through? It is not the one with the gym membership, it is the one with the emotional connection. A clear goal gives you something to aim at, but emotion makes it urgent. When your why is strong enough, you will figure out the how. Emotion also creates resilience. Life will not go according to plan. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and failures. If your goals are only based on logic, you will abandon them the moment things get tough because the cost seems to outweigh the benefit. But when your emotions are tied to the outcome, when the thought of not achieving it is more painful than the struggle itself, you will rise again and again until you succeed. Pain and pleasure are the two forces that govern human behavior. To achieve your goals, you must link massive pain to staying where you are and massive pleasure to moving forward. This rewires your brain to chase progress instinctively. One of the most effective ways to strengthen emotional connection is visualization with feeling. It is not enough to write your goals down. You must experience them in your mind and body. Close your eyes and imagine what achieving your goal feels like. Picture it in detail, the sights, the sounds, the people around you, the emotions flooding through you. Feel the pride, the freedom, the joy, or the relief. The more vividly you imagine it, the more your nervous system believes it is real, and the more driven you become to make it your reality. Emotion turns imagination into conviction. Another critical part of building emotional connection is aligning your goals with your values. If your goal contradicts what you truly value, you will sabotage yourself unconsciously. For example, if you value family but pursue a career goal that requires you to sacrifice all family time, you will feel inner conflict and resistance. But if you connect your career goal to how it will improve your family's life, the alignment of values creates harmony and energy. The strongest emotional drive comes when your goals support what you hold most sacred. It is also important to raise the stakes by making your goal part of your identity. Human beings will do more to remain consistent with who they believe they are than they will for almost any other reason. If you see yourself as someone who tries to be disciplined, you will fail the moment temptation comes. But if you see yourself as a disciplined person, then taking action becomes automatic because you act in accordance with your identity. Emotional connection turns goals from something you want to achieve into something you must embody. Finally, emotional connection not only fuels you, but also inspires others. When you communicate your goals with passion, people feel your conviction and are drawn to support you. This creates a ripple effect of accountability and encouragement. A goal that is emotionally alive within you spreads energy to those around you, creating an environment where success becomes inevitable. In the end, emotion is the difference between wishing and achieving. You can have the clearest vision in the world, but without emotional connection, it will fade when life gets hard. But when you tie your goals to the deepest reasons in your heart, when you create an unbreakable link between what you want and why you want it, you become unstoppable, because the truth is, people don't get what they want, they get what they must have. Emotion transforms your goals from a possibility into a certainty. It is the fuel that ignites action, sustains persistence, and turns the dream of achievement into the reality of accomplishment. A massive action plan is the bridge between a dream and its realization. Most people fail not because their goals are impossible, but because they remain stuck in the realm of imagination. They wait for the perfect conditions, the flawless strategy, or the guarantee of success before they move. But life does not reward hesitation, it rewards movement. You can have the clearest vision and the strongest emotional drive, but without action, they remain locked in the mind as fantasies. Action is what transforms ideas into results, and massive action is what separates ordinary achievements from extraordinary ones. The key is to understand that planning is important, but action is essential. Too many people get trapped in paralysis by analysis, endlessly mapping out the journey but never taking the first step. The truth is, you will never have all the answers at the start. The greatest breakthroughs often come from doing, not just thinking. A massive action plan does not mean having every detail figured out. It means deciding the direction, identifying immediate steps, and committing to relentless forward motion. Clarity gives you the destination, emotion gives you the fuel, and massive action is the vehicle that carries you there. Massive action begins with breaking down your goal into small, measurable steps. When the vision is too big, it can feel overwhelming, leading to procrastination. But when you divide it into daily and weekly actions, the impossible becomes manageable. If your goal is to write a book, don't wait for inspiration to strike. Commit to writing a set number of words every day. If your goal is financial freedom, map out specific income targets, saving strategies, and investment habits. Consistency in small actions compounds over time into massive results. Progress is built not on occasional bursts of effort, but on disciplined, repetitive actions aligned with your vision. What makes it massive is not that every action must be huge, but that your commitment to act is unwavering. It means you are willing to try multiple approaches until you succeed. If one path doesn't work, you don't stop, you adjust. You don't wait for circumstances to be easy. You create momentum by acting in spite of difficulty. Success rarely comes from one grand gesture. It comes from a relentless pattern of actions sustained over time. Every great athlete, entrepreneur, or leader reached their level of mastery because they took consistent, massive action long before they saw results. Another key part of a massive action plan is urgency. Too many dreams die because people say someday. Someday is a dangerous word. It has no date, no accountability, no energy. A massive action plan demands that you attach timelines, deadlines, and immediate actions. The faster you act, the stronger your momentum. Motion creates emotion, and emotion sustains action. When you act quickly, you bypass fear and self-doubt. Momentum becomes your ally, and once you start moving, it becomes harder to stop than to keep going. But action alone is not enough. It must be intelligent action. Working harder at the wrong thing only takes you further away from your goal. This is why feedback is critical. A massive action plan is not rigid, it is flexible. You act, you measure results, and you adjust. If a strategy is not working, you shift your approach, but never your vision. The willingness to adapt ensures that you stay on course even when the road changes. Think of it like sailing. The wind may shift, but the destination remains the same. Those who succeed are not those who never encounter obstacles, but those who refuse to stop until they find a way through, over, or around them. It is also important to anchor your action to habits and systems. Willpower alone is not reliable because it fluctuates with emotions and circumstances. But when you build rituals and routines around your goals, action becomes automatic. A massive action plan is not about working harder once. It is about designing your life so that the actions leading to your goal become part of who you are. The person who commits to daily practice, daily growth, and daily discipline eventually outpaces the person who only acts when inspired. Another element that strengthens your action plan is accountability. When you share your goals and progress with others, you raise the stakes. Accountability partners, mentors, or even a supportive community can push you beyond your comfort zone and keep you aligned with your commitments. Left to yourself, it is easy to let excuses win, but when others are watching, you elevate your standards. A massive action plan thrives when combined with accountability because it transforms private intentions into public commitments. Finally, a massive action plan is about persistence. Rarely will your first efforts produce the ultimate result. There will be setbacks, failures, and times when you feel progress is invisible. But every action plants a seed, and with persistence, those seeds eventually bear fruit. Most people give up right before the breakthrough, not realizing that the struggle they face is part of the process of strengthening them for the next level. Those who take massive action refuse to stop. They may rest, they may recalibrate, but they always rise again. In the end, a massive action plan is the antidote to fear, procrastination, and doubt. It is the discipline of moving forward consistently, relentlessly, and intelligently. It is the recognition that success is not built on wishes but on work, not on intention but on execution. With clarity, you know where you are going. With emotion, you know why it matters. With massive action, you ensure that nothing can keep you from making it real. Because action is the great equalizer. It does not matter where you start, what resources you have, or what obstacles stand in your way. If you commit to massive action and refuse to quit, there is no dream beyond your reach. Flexibility and adaptability are two of the most powerful qualities you can develop on the path to achieving your goals. Too many people believe success is a straight line, as if once you set a target and begin moving, everything will fall into place exactly as planned. But life does not work that way. The road to achievement is filled with unexpected twists, setbacks, and changes. If you rigidly cling to a single plan, the first obstacle may break you. But if you remain flexible and adaptable, no challenge can stop you. You simply adjust your approach until you find a way forward. Flexibility begins with the mindset that obstacles are not failures but feedback. When something does not go the way you intended, it is not the end, it is information. It tells you what does not work, and that insight moves you closer to discovering what will work. Those who succeed are not the ones who never face obstacles, but the ones who refuse to let obstacles define them. They recognize that the path may change 100 times, but the destination remains the same. This mental shift allows them to stay resilient instead of defeated, curious instead of frustrated, and proactive instead of passive. Adaptability is also about releasing the illusion of perfection. Many people wait until everything feels certain before they act, and then when uncertainty arrives, they freeze. But uncertainty is the only certainty in life. The world changes, markets shift, relationships evolve, opportunities appear and disappear. If you resist change, you will be left behind, but if you adapt, you can turn even the toughest challenges into stepping stones. Think about technology, business, or even personal growth. Those who cling to the past get stuck, while those who embrace change thrive. The ability to pivot quickly and adjust strategies separates those who merely survive from those who dominate. A great example is the story of innovators and entrepreneurs who faced rejection or initial failure but refused to quit. They adapted their products, redefined their markets, and reshaped their strategies until success became inevitable. History is filled with stories of people who failed repeatedly until they discovered the right formula. What made the difference was not superior intelligence or luck, but adaptability. They learned, shifted, and kept moving. This quality is available to anyone who chooses to remain flexible in their pursuit. Flexibility also requires humility. It means admitting that your first idea, plan, or approach may not be the best one. It means being willing to listen, learn, and change without seeing it as weakness. Some people cling to failing strategies out of pride, unwilling to admit they need to adjust. But success does not care about pride, it cares about progress. To achieve anything meaningful, you must be more committed to your vision than to your ego. If one path is blocked, you must be humble enough to accept it and creative enough to carve a new path. Adaptability is not about giving up your vision, it is about expanding your strategies. The vision is the destination, the goal that fuels your journey. Flexibility is about how you get there. Imagine you are driving to a city and the road you chose is closed. You don't abandon the trip. You simply find another route. The same applies to goals. Too many people confuse changing strategies with giving up, but they are not the same. Giving up means abandoning the destination. Flexibility means finding a better way to get there. Flexibility also builds emotional resilience. When you expect challenges and prepare to adapt, you are less likely to be crushed by disappointment. You begin to see setbacks as temporary detours rather than permanent defeats. This resilience allows you to keep your energy high and your motivation strong even when circumstances are tough. People who lack flexibility often burn out because they expect the road to be smooth and are shocked when it isn't. But those who embrace adaptability stay calm under pressure because they know challenges are part of the process. Another important element of adaptability is creativity. When one solution doesn't work, flexibility forces you to think differently, to innovate, to experiment with new ideas. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came not from sticking with the obvious answer, but from shifting perspective and finding a new approach. Adaptability pushes you to expand your thinking, question assumptions, and explore alternatives you may not have considered otherwise. In your personal life, flexibility allows you to grow through change rather than resist it. Relationships, careers, and even health goals all evolve over time. If you cling to rigid expectations, you set yourself up for frustration. But if you remain adaptable, you can adjust gracefully and keep progressing. Flexibility allows you to learn from every season of life and to turn every challenge into an opportunity for growth. Ultimately, flexibility and adaptability ensure that nothing can stop you. You may stumble, you may fall, but you will never stay down. You will shift, you will learn, you will adjust, and you will rise again. The destination remains non-negotiable, but the path is allowed to evolve. With this mindset, failure is impossible. There are only lessons, redirections, and opportunities to grow stronger. The rigid tree breaks in the storm, but the flexible tree bends and survives. Success belongs to those who are willing to bend, adapt, and reinvent themselves until they achieve what they set out to create. Environment and associations play a critical role in shaping who you become and what you achieve in life. No matter how strong your vision, how powerful your emotions, or how disciplined your action plan, if you place yourself in the wrong environment, your growth will be stifled. Human beings are profoundly influenced by the people, places, and habits they surround themselves with. If your environment is toxic, filled with negativity, distractions, or limitations, it will drain your energy and lower your standards. But if your environment is empowering, inspiring, and aligned with your goals, it will accelerate your progress in ways that feel almost effortless. The truth is, success is rarely achieved in isolation. Every great achiever has been influenced by the people they chose to associate with and the environments they immersed themselves in. If you want to elevate your life, the first step is to audit your surroundings. Ask yourself, who are the people I spend the most time with? Do they inspire me or drain me? Do they challenge me to grow or make me comfortable staying the same? Jim Rohn once said that you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Whether you believe the exact number or not, the principle is undeniable. Your associations shape your mindset, your beliefs, and ultimately your actions. If you constantly spend time with people who complain, blame, and settle for mediocrity, you will unconsciously absorb their habits and attitudes. Negativity is contagious. Soon you find yourself lowering your standards to match theirs, adopting their excuses, and shrinking your vision. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with ambitious, disciplined, and positive individuals, their energy lifts you higher. Excellence is also contagious. Just being in the presence of people who live at a higher level makes you want to raise your game. Their habits rub off on you, their conversations spark new ideas, and their belief in what's possible expands your own. But environment is not only about people, it is also about the physical and mental spaces you live in. Look around your surroundings. Do they inspire focus and growth, or do they create clutter and distraction? A chaotic, disorganized environment drains mental energy, while a clean, purposeful space supports productivity. The same is true for your mental environment. What do you feed your mind with daily? The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the shows you watch, and the conversations you engage in all form part of your environment. They either feed your growth or poison it. You cannot expect to think like a champion if you consume negativity every day. You must intentionally design your environment to nourish your vision. Changing your environment does not always mean cutting people out completely or moving to a new place overnight. Sometimes it means adjusting the amount of time you spend in certain spaces or limiting exposure to influences that don't serve your goals. It may mean spending less time with those who drain you and more with those who inspire you. It may mean joining groups, communities, or networks that challenge you to grow. It may mean curating your social media so that what you consume online uplifts and educates you rather than distracts and depresses you. Associations also serve as a mirror, reflecting back what you believe you deserve. If you surround yourself with people who accept mediocrity, it signals to your subconscious that mediocrity is acceptable. But when you choose to associate with people who demand excellence, it raises the standard of what you believe is normal. Suddenly, extraordinary effort becomes your baseline, and you push yourself to live up to the expectations of those around you. This is why mentorship is so powerful. A mentor not only guides you, but also raises your standard by showing you what is possible. They provide an environment where your potential is nurtured rather than stifled. The environment you create also determines how consistent you remain with your habits. For example, if your goal is to eat healthier but your kitchen is filled with junk food, your environment will constantly sabotage your willpower. But if you fill your home with nourishing options, success becomes easier. If your goal is to focus on building a business but your phone is filled with endless distractions, your environment will pull you off track. But if you design your workspace with clarity, focus, and minimal distractions, you set yourself up for success. Environment is more powerful than motivation because it shapes behavior automatically. It is also important to realize that sometimes you must leave an environment completely to grow. There are seasons in life when your old circle cannot go with you to the next level. Growth often requires separation, not out of arrogance but out of necessity. If you keep yourself tied to an environment that keeps you small, you sacrifice your future for the comfort of the present. True growth requires the courage to let go of environments that no longer serve you and the wisdom to step into spaces that stretch and expand you. In the end, your environment and associations are either a ceiling that limits you or a platform that lifts you. You cannot rise higher than the influences you allow around you. If you want to achieve extraordinary results, you must be intentional about where you spend your time, who you spend it with, and what you allow into your mind. Create an environment that nurtures your growth, surround yourself with people who demand your best, and immerse yourself in influences that align with your vision. When you do, progress becomes inevitable because you are no longer fighting against your environment, you are being propelled by it. Progress and celebration are two forces that sustain long-term achievement and make the journey as rewarding as the destination. Human beings are wired to seek growth. When we feel we are moving forward, life feels meaningful and energizing. When we feel stagnant, even if everything else appears fine, we feel restless and dissatisfied. Progress is not just a step toward success, it is success itself. The mistake many people make is believing they can only feel successful when they reach the final goal. This mindset robs them of energy, motivation, and joy because the big wins are rare and spread out over time. But when you train yourself to recognize and celebrate progress, even small steps, you create constant fuel that keeps you moving forward. Progress creates momentum, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in human psychology. Think about how much easier it is to keep going once you've already started. The hardest part is the beginning, pushing past inertia. But once progress is made, no matter how small, it builds a sense of accomplishment. That sense of accomplishment strengthens confidence, and confidence leads to more action. This cycle is what propels people from small victories to massive achievements. Those who ignore small wins often burn out because they never allow themselves to feel the reward of progress. They keep chasing the horizon, never realizing they are already on the path to success. Celebration is what anchors progress emotionally. If progress is action, celebration is reinforcement. When you celebrate a small step forward, you are training your brain to associate achievement with pleasure. This creates a powerful loop of motivation. Take action, feel progress, celebrate, and then crave more action. Without celebration, progress feels empty, and your brain does not register the significance of your effort. That is why many people quit. They are working hard but never feel rewarded. They wait until the final victory to celebrate, and by then, they are too exhausted or disillusioned to enjoy it. By celebrating along the way, you make the journey itself fulfilling, and fulfillment is what sustains discipline. Celebration does not always have to be grand. It can be as simple as acknowledging yourself, writing down your wins at the end of the day, or pausing to feel gratitude for how far you've come. It can be sharing your progress with someone supportive or giving yourself a small reward that symbolizes growth. What matters is that you recognize the movement forward and anchor it in your mind as something valuable. Even tiny victories, when celebrated, build a mindset of success. Over time, this mindset becomes part of your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who achieves, someone who grows, someone who wins. Progress is also deeply tied to happiness. Studies show that people feel happiest not when they have achieved everything they want, but when they are actively making progress toward meaningful goals. This explains why some people feel empty even after reaching massive success. They achieved the outcome, but lost the drive for growth. The secret is to always tie fulfillment to progress, not just outcomes. When you understand that progress itself is success, you never run out of reasons to feel proud and energized. Every day becomes an opportunity to experience achievement, no matter how small the step. Another important aspect of celebrating progress is that it builds resilience. The journey to any significant goal will include setbacks. If you only measure success by the final result, setbacks feel devastating because they seem to erase all progress. But if you measure success by consistent forward movement, setbacks lose their power. You can still celebrate the lessons learned, the effort invested, and the persistence shown. This keeps your spirit strong during difficult times and ensures that you continue moving even when results are delayed. Progress and celebration turn obstacles into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Celebration also inspires others. When people see you acknowledging progress and radiating energy from your small victories, they feel encouraged to do the same in their own lives. Progress celebrated publicly has a ripple effect, uplifting not just you but also the people around you. It shifts the culture of your environment from one of waiting for perfection to one of honoring growth. This makes teams, families, and communities stronger because everyone feels the motivation that comes from collective recognition of progress. To fully harness the power of progress and celebration, you must train yourself to notice them intentionally. Our minds are naturally biased toward problems. We focus on what's missing rather than what's growing. That is why you must discipline yourself to pause and acknowledge what has improved. Even if you are far from your ultimate vision, ask yourself, am I further ahead today than I was yesterday? Did I learn something new, take a step forward, or strengthen a habit? If the answer is yes, that is progress and it deserves recognition. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to focus on growth rather than lack, and that shift in focus creates consistent motivation. In the end, progress and celebration ensure that your journey to success is not only productive but also joyful. They keep your spirit alive, your energy high, and your motivation unstoppable. By celebrating every step, you transform discipline into desire and effort into fulfillment. You stop waiting for happiness at the finish line and start experiencing it along the way. The more you celebrate progress, the more progress you create, until success becomes not a distant dream but a daily reality.